Hi everyone, Matteo here. In this video I want to share with you my recipe to brew 30 grams of coffee with 500 grams of water using the Orea V3 1 cup and the Kalita paper filters. A few of you asked me in the comment section below the videos of my Orea V3 series how to brew a big dose of coffee with this dripper and what kind of adjustments I would do if I wanted to brew 30 grams of coffee with 500 grams of water. And I found these questions very interesting and also challenging, so I decided to do a video about that. And that's why your feedback and your questions are very important for me, because they could be an inspiration for my next contents. Now, back to the topic. Brewing a large amount of coffee in a small brewer like the Orea 1 cup can be very challenging, because the coffee takes almost all the space inside the dripper and leaves a little space for the water. So, the first thing to do when we want to brew a large amount of coffee in a small dripper is to grind coarser. Grinding coarser in a pour-over method increases the flow rate of the water and also reduces the contact time and the contact surface between coffee and water. I also will say that reduces channeling. Now you will tell me, but Matteo, wait, if I grind coarser, then I will have a weak coffee. And I will tell you, not really, because in this case there are two things that will have a big impact on the extraction. The first is the depth of the coffee bed. Having a tall bed gives to the water more possibility to extract solids from the coffee, because the way from the top of the bed to the bottom is longer. So the water has more time to grab coffee compounds. The second is the coffee water concentration. Because we are not able to pour a big amount of water in the dripper, we have to split this total water in multiple pours. This implies pouring a small amount of water each time. And I will show you in a few seconds how much water. Small amounts decreases the concentration of the water inside the coffee bed, increasing the speed of migration of coffee compounds to the unsaturated solvent, that in this case, in our case, is the water. This will compensate for the coarser grind size, but actually it will increase extraction even more. So, to control this and avoid over-extraction, we need to change another variable, the water temperature. Temperature in brewing is the energy we give to water to extract coffee solids. Higher temperature, higher energy, lower temperature, lower energy. So, adjusting the temperature of the water, we can balance this over-extraction caused by the low concentration multiple pours of water. Perfect, now stop with this boring stuff and let's start to brew some coffee. So, the starting recipe to follow is 30 grams of coffee, ground coarser than the grind size that I suggest in my Orea V3 with Kalita paper filter video that you can find right here. And to give you a reference, I ground this coffee with a Comandante and grinder at 30 regular clicks. Sometimes I have to grind a couple of clicks more or less, depending on coffee, but we will see this later. Okay, coffee 30 grams and 500 grams of water at 90 degrees Celsius. This temperature is always my starting point for this method. Of course, we can adjust it depending on coffee. Now, how am I going to pour this big amount of water in this small brewer? For my first pour, I will apply 100 grams of water. I know, this amount of water is 3 times more of the amount of coffee, but I need to be sure that all the grounds are wet at the same time to avoid uneven extraction. After the first pour, we let it rest to bloom. I usually suggest for fresher coffee to let it rest for 50 seconds. If the coffee is rested, 40 seconds for me is okay. After this, we start with 50 grams of water every 30 seconds. 4 of them, until we reach the 300 grams of total water. In this phase, we have the higher extraction of solids. Then, the final pour, a slow, long pour of 200 grams of water. This will help us to control the extraction and balance the brew. Now, let's start to brew together. Let's go. 100 grams. Make sure we wet very well the bed. Perfect, now we wait 40 seconds. And then we go with the second pour. Grams. Perfect. Now you can see the fast flow. It's draining super fast, and that's what we want to achieve. And now at 1 minute 10, we're going to apply the next 50 grams of water. Perfect. It's very important that every time we go to apply the following pour, the bed is, let's say, completely drained. This will help the water to extract more solids, and we don't need to worry because at the end we're going to balance the brew with the last pour. Here we go. Another 50 grams. Perfect. Now the last 50 grams for this series of pours. Perfect. Now at 240 we're going to apply the slow 200 grams pour. Let's go. Perfect, very nice and slow. I always keep like circular motion of pours, but you can also like stay in the center. That's not a big. Important is that it's slow and you don't apply too much turbulence, you know, on the coffee bed. Continue slow. As you can see, the flow rate is quite fast, that you pour the water and the level of the water in the bed never raised, and that's very good. So you keep a very steady level of water inside the dripper. You just need a bit of practice in this. Perfect. Now the last 10 grams. Perfect. And now let completely drain. For 24-25, and the brew is done. Perfect. Another thing that will help us to control the extraction is the temperature loss of the brewing water in the kettle. If you place the electric kettle back on the base after brewing, you see that we lose a bit of temperature, in my case around 6-7 degrees. This depends on the kettle brand, of course, but the reduced temperature at the end of brewing, it will help us to control better the extraction. This is such a big brew for a small dripper like this. Now, let's taste it. The aroma is good. Yeah, this is good. Wow, this is actually very good. My coffee tastes good also because I already dialed in the recipe for this specific coffee. So now I want to give you a couple of tips to control the brewing better, okay? If you think that your coffee, after brewing of course, is a bit weak but also is a bit over extracted, at this point you should change the water to coffee ratio. I will suggest you to pour 50 grams of water less during the last pour. So instead of doing 200 grams of slow long pour, I suggest to do a 150 grams. And then you can adjust 20 grams more, 20 grams less. It's up to your taste. If your coffee is strong enough but a bit over extracted, at this point I suggest you to reduce the temperature of the water 1 or 2 degrees less and see what's happening. If the coffee is good strong but a bit over extracted and you see that it drains so slowly that you have a problem to pour water inside the dripper, at this point I suggest you to grind slightly coarser. So you will have a better flow, you can pour better the water, you won't lose too much strength, but for sure you will reduce the over extraction because the reduced contact time. If the flow rate is good but the coffee tastes a bit too much acidic and under extracted, increase the water temperature. Here we give higher energy to extract the solutes without compromise the flow rate, and in this case higher extraction, higher sweetness. If the coffee is too weak, under extracted and also drain very fast, grind slightly finer. This will increase contact time, this will increase contact surface, and you will have a higher extraction. Then if it's not enough, you can also increase the temperature. I hope that my recipe and my tips will help you to achieve a good big brew with the Orea V3 1 cup. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or if you want to share with me your brewing method with Orea V3 and brewing a big amount of coffee, I invite you to leave a comment in the section below. If you are new to my channel and you like a good coffee, I think you should subscribe. I wish you a wonderful day and delicious coffee. Ciao! Shit, that's good. It's really good.